Hello all, I hope you are having a fabulous day. My name is Reggie and today I'll be sharing with you my May wrap-up. In the month of May, I read 7 books. Definitely not my best reading month, but far from my worst. And I'm currently sitting at 4 books ahead of my reading goal for the year, which is pretty exciting. The first book I completed in the month of May was Binge by Tyler Oakley. I absolutely loved this book. I highly recommend that if you're going to read this book to listen to the audiobook. Tyler obviously narrates it and it is perfection. In audiobooks, there are always a couple of things you missed, especially in this book. There are pictures, letters, notes, things like that sprinkled throughout the book. Tyler in the audiobook describes them to you or reads them to you, and obviously you gain a lot from hearing the words he's written from his perspective and his own voice, and I absolutely loved it. I also really just loved Tyler's book and his voice coming off the pages. I think it was so vibrantly written and I just loved everything about it, honestly. I'm totally fanning it right here, but I really did enjoy it and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars just because I really loved the new stories and just how dripping it was with personality, just like everything Tyler touches is. But yes, big fan, loved it. If you're a Tyler Oakley fan and haven't read this book, highly recommend. Next up, I read Furiously Happy, a funny book about horrible things by Jenny Lawson. This book was amazing. I listened to it on audiobook again. It is also narrated by the author Jenny Lawson. I didn't know anything about Jenny before picking up this book other than people love this book and recommend it. And I'm so obsessed with her now. I follow her on Twitter. I'm reading her blog. I'm a big fan. Love her. She's great. And her story was just very realistic without being realistic, if that makes sense. Jenny has a lot of disorders and mental illness issues, and she talks about them in a very real way, but also because she's going through so many different things, it's an experience unlike anyone I'm sure has experienced. I don't know how to describe it, but I loved it. It was funny, it was dark, it was full of heart, and it was helpful, and it was beautiful, and the cover is brilliant, which I'm a huge fan of. And it was definitely one of my favorite books of the year. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It really was so great. Next up, I read How to Be Bad, which is by 3 different authors. It's one of those co-authored stories. So let me look up who it was written by. It was written by E. Lockhart, which is why I originally picked it up. It was also written by Lauren Miracle and Sarah Milwaukee.
Like it. Really? Laura Miracle also wrote a story.
Lauren Miracle also wrote a story in Let It Snow, which I loved. Her story, I think, was my favorite in this book. So I was really excited that 2 authors that I have enjoyed their works previously had written a book together with someone else. I really liked this book. It was realistic. It was interesting. It followed basically these 3 different girls that are from very different parts in their lives, and they form a friendship, and it was just a road trip, and I like road trip stories in the summer, and it was just cute and fun and light and quick. And I did only give it like 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I did find it really enjoyable. I liked it a lot. I just didn't find it very deep or moving, which I had found the last 2 books I had read to be very moving. I just felt like 3.5 was the right star point for it. It was not disappointing in the slightest. I really, really enjoyed it. Flew through it, but it wasn't anything too deep. I don't necessarily think this is like a book that will stay with me, so 3.5 stars is about where it lies, but I still recommend it. I think it's great. Next up, I read Room by Emma Donoghue, which is a book I've been meaning to read for literally years, and I mean years and years and years. And I finally read it, and I finally watched the movie. I do plan on doing a book and movie review in the near future. I just haven't done that yet. Sorry. I really, really enjoyed this book. I expected a lot from this book, and while it was a lot, it wasn't the perfection 5.5 stars I had been hyping it up in my own mind to be for years. I think that's part of the problem, is because I put it off for years and years and years. The hype inside my head kept growing and growing, and it was great, but it wasn't mind-blowingly, life-changingly good. Room is told in a perspective of, I believe, a 5-year-old boy, and he is in a room, a small room, and we find out from his perspective why he's in that room with his mother what this deal is, and it's just really interesting and great and unique. 4.5 out of 5 stars, still really loved it. Next up, I read the 6th book in the series of Unfortunate Events series by Lemony Snicket. This one is The Arizat Elevator, and this one was very interesting, very enjoyable. I did really like the direction the story is taking, and I love the audiobook. The audiobooks are getting longer, so I mean the books are getting longer, and I like this one. I don't have too much to say about it. I'm scared of elevators. It's like one of those irrational fears, so it was kind of a little scarier than the rest. Not that any of these books are particularly scary, but definitely was like, yeah, even if that elevator was working, I probably would take those stairs because I just don't like elevators. So very enjoyable. I did really like this one. I'm just interested to see how the story continues. I'm about to the halfway point now, so I'm interested in seeing if I like the second half as much as I enjoyed the first half. Next up, I listened to another audiobook, and that was The I Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I absolutely love this book. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. This is the story of a circus and the people and the magic and the atmosphere that goes along with the circus. There is a love story. It follows many different characters throughout many different times. There is a duel between the magicians in this world. There's a lot of moving parts, but really at the core of it, this book is about the circus and the atmosphere of the circus, the fans of the circus, the people in the circus, the magic that is confound in the circus, but mostly it's just the circus and the moving parts that make the circus what it is. It is, of course, a circus that comes out during the night. It travels, it's mysterious. No one really knows where it's going to pop up next. And it's just so magical and wonderful and atmospheric, and you guys know I love atmospheric books. This book was so good. I highly recommend the audiobook. It was perfection. So great, and one of my favorite quotes I have read all year came from this book. I wrote it down, so I'm going to pull that up and read it for you because I loved it that much. So I'm not going to give you context because I don't want to spoil the story for you, but if you've read the book, you'll know what this is from. If you don't, it's not really going to spoil anything for you. You may tell a tale that takes up residence in someone's soul, becomes their blood and self and purpose. That tale will move them and drive them, and who knows what they might do because of it, because of your words. That is your role, your gift. Your sister may be able to see the future, but you yourself can shape it. Do not forget that there are many kinds of magic after all. I just love it. The way that words are compared to magic and stories are used to tell and shape a person's world, I think us as readers can really understand or the final book I read this month was The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. It took literally all month to read it because I did not want to finish it. I literally had 40 pages left to finish last night, and I just did not want to read it. I avoided it for literally like 8 hours because I didn't want the end of the story to come, and I'm still processing it, but I did give it 5 out of 5 stars. I am perfectly accepting of giving it 5 out of 5 stars. That rating is not going to change. I don't know if this is my favorite series conclusion ever. I didn't really love it. I think I was dreading the ending so much that might have taken a toll on the story, but it was so good. It was still really riveting. I only read it slow because I didn't want it to end. That had nothing to do with the pacing. This is one of my favorite series of all time. The Raven Boys is still my favorite in the series, but the whole series is just beautiful and I love it. I think this was a worthy conclusion. I enjoyed it so much, and I plan on watching basically every book talk for The Raven King now. I probably won't be making my own, but I am really interested in hearing what everyone who's read this has thought about it. So if you have read this book, you should tell me that you have in the comments down below, and we can talk over Twitter or Voxer or something about it because I need to talk about it. I just need to. So those are the 7 books I read and listened to in the month of May. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you should give it a big thumbs up. You should also go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what your favorite book that you read during the month was. Mine would probably be Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. I just loved it so much. And that is all for today. So if you haven't already, you should definitely subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!